right. Let's get it right. Let's get it right. Let's get it right. Let's get it right.
You already know what it is, man. It's your boy Dealatofficial. And this is No Filters. Always appreciate you hitting that like button for me, subscribing to the channel so you don't miss an episode, and sharing this with the world. And of course, family, when you come in, get comfortable. Get you something to eat. Get you something to drink. Get you something to smoke if that's what you do. Cause you see the title, fam. What? Let's get into this here.
Overnight unrest and anger in Minneapolis after federal agents shot and killed another person. Graphic video from the scene obtained by Drop Site News shows a man in a struggle with agents, resisting being shoved to the ground and hit. It appears his gun is removed by one of the agents. Another agent opens fire, then two more open fire, shooting him in the back as he lies on the ground.
I just saw a video of more than 6 masked agents pummeling one of our constituents and shooting him to death. How many more residents?
Minneapolis police have now identified that man as 37-year-old Alex Pretti, an American citizen and Minneapolis native who worked as an ICU nurse for the Department of Veterans Affairs. Pretti seen here reading the final salute for a fallen veteran.
Today we remember that freedom is not free. We have to work at it, nurture it, protect it, and even sacrifice for it.
Local authorities say Pretti was a lawful gun owner with a license to carry and no criminal record. Minnesota has an open carry gun law which requires a permit. Video shows Pretti intervened trying to help a woman the agents had surrounded. He appears to be holding a phone as he is pepper sprayed and wrestled to the ground, which he resists. The video does not appear to show him drawing the gun at any point. Now, Governor Tim Walz says the state will not be stonewalled by the Trump administration as they investigate the shooting.
Thank God we have video, because according to DHS, these 7 heroic guys took an onslaught of a battalion against them or something. It's nonsense, people. It is nonsense and it's lies.
According to an affidavit, a doctor witnessed the shooting from a nearby apartment and says that at first agents would not let him through to help before one agent eventually agreed to let him assess the victim. According to the affidavit, the doctor says he was confused as to why Pretti was lying on his side, which is not standard practice when a victim has been shot. The doctor added ICE agents appeared to be counting Pretti's bullet wounds. Border Patrol officials say the shooting happened while conducting a targeted operation for a person in the country illegally. They claim Pretti approached Border Patrol agents with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun seen here, along with 2 magazines, and say he violently resisted their attempts to disarm him.
We will not allow violence against our law enforcement officers.
Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem insists the agent fired defensive shots.
This looks like a situation where an individual arrived at the scene to inflict maximum damage on individuals and to kill law enforcement.
So far, they provided no evidence supporting those claims.
There's been demonstrators out here since this shooting first happened, sometimes thousands at a time. The fires are to stay warm in the sub-zero temperatures. We know there's been protests happening every day in Minneapolis since Renee Good was shot 2.5 weeks ago.
The Minneapolis community coming together in a candlelight vigil overnight. Neighbors, friends, and family gathered outside Pretti's home. His neighbor speaking to ABC News, remembering the 37-year-old.
He was very well thought of. It's difficult to square that impression that everybody on this block had with this notion that he was somehow some sort of suicide mission to inflict damage on ICE.
And his father telling the Associated Press his beloved son cared about people deeply and was very upset with what was happening in Minneapolis, and he had discussed the protest with his son recently.
We had this discussion with him 2 weeks ago or so, that go ahead and protest, but do not engage. And he said he knows that. He knew that.
fault. The fuck is wrong with you? Honestly.
The situation in Minneapolis is on the verge of exploding after a fatal shooting by Border Patrol. Please make sure you guys hit the like button. I don't know if YouTube will suppress this video or not, but Minneapolis is in the midst of a full-blown insurrection. We're gonna talk about why this is all happening because it actually has little to do with immigration. It's a much broader, more nefarious anti-America agenda at work here. And most importantly, we're going to talk about the new details that were exposed that reveal the true scale, organization, and sophistication of this anti-ICE operation. These protesters, if you can even call them that, are literally working with Minneapolis PD to trace, dox, and obstruct ICE. I'm not kidding. As always, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Please watch this one till the end. But let's start with the video from a couple of days ago of Tim Walsh encouraging Minnesotans to cause trouble for ICE.
I can't stress enough on this. We're winning it because we're doing it with Minnesota grit, Minnesota humor, Minnesota decency. oftentimes talk about this, and I know people are discussing this a lot. I spent a lot of time with John Lewis on nonviolent resistance. The resistance matters. We're not telling people to be silent, but we're not telling people to go out and cause problems. We're going to cause good trouble.
So when you ask yourself the question, why all this chaos is only happening in Minnesota and not the rest of the country, that is the answer. Every single Minnesota politician and every single high-profile Democrat is encouraging this insurrectionist behavior so Minnesota can be their ideological battleground. And as you'll see later in this video, there is secret coordination with the Minneapolis Police Department to facilitate all of this chaos. ICE is conducting operations in all 50 states. But only in Minnesota are you seeing ICE agents being tracked and followed from sunup to sundown and being swarmed by a mob of 60 people every time they conduct an operation. Renee Good was part of this anti-ICE network, and now the second person killed was also revealed to be a part of this network. No law enforcement agency ever has been expected to tolerate this level of harassment, where you have 40 people blowing whistles that are so loud they come with a warning to use earplugs, people physically bum rushing ICE to obstruct apprehensions and detentions, and caravans of cars following them, obstructing, blocking in the middle of the street. This is absolute insanity that no law enforcement agency should have to deal with. This is absolute insanity and so much pressure and tension. No law enforcement agency can be expected to make zero mistakes under these kinds of conditions. Now let's watch a clip of what took place yesterday, and I'm gonna cut it right before the fatal shots are fired.
Honestly.
Now, right after that, the first shot is fired. And this is important because all of the agents take a step back and pause for a second. And then 4 more shots are fired subsequently after that. Now, from a different angle, you can see one of the agents disarm the man on the ground. And the leading theory at the moment is that agent accidentally discharged the weapon. This happened while multiple agents were yelling, "Gun, gun, gun," implying that the other agents probably assumed that this discharge was coming from the man, which led to the 4 subsequent fatal shots. Let's take a look at this close-up, which shows the agent seemingly discharge the weapon, and you guys can let me know what you think in the comments. If this is in fact what happened, then it's extremely unfortunate that this man was fatally shot. Let me be clear, I don't relish in the loss of human life ever. But that's exactly why these protesters intentionally creating a high-tension, chaotic, discombobulating situation is so reckless. And the left will say that's the point, to make the working conditions so impossible that the federal government decides it's not worth enforcing immigration law. And what they're describing is political terrorism and an insurrection. Using violence and lawlessness to assert your political ideology is terrorism. The Democrats, who claim to be the protectors and saviors of democracy, are completely ignoring and disregarding the democratic process. There were no protests from the Democrat when the borders were open and 15 million people poured into the country. But now that the American people voted to have them removed, Democrats are doing everything possible to prevent that from happening, and we'll talk about why in a little bit. But first, let's discuss the talking point from the left, that this man had a constitutional right to carry a gun, and carrying a gun legally should not be a death sentence. They are correct. He had the right to do it, but it was certainly not smart or responsible. The very first thing they teach you about responsible gun ownership is to not bring it into a chaotic situation.
Shut up. You ain't even making no damn sense. Stupid. Hit that like button, double tap that screen. You in here with your boy Dealatofficial. And this is
chaotic situation.
Let's go.
Anti-ICE protests raging in Minneapolis after another deadly shooting involving a federal agent. DHS says was acting in self-defense. Governor Tim Walz pointing a finger at President Trump, demanding that, quote, violent, untrained officers be removed from his state immediately. Sam Olson is the ICE field office director in Minnesota. He joins us now. Sam, thank you for taking time today and to point out you have decades of experience in ICE in the state of Minnesota. What's your reaction? Is this chaos? Is this tragic shooting, yet another one, making your task of removing violent criminal illegal aliens from the streets of Minnesota more difficult?
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for having me. I've worked in Minnesota for the past 20 years, right? And yesterday was another unfortunate incident. You know, no officer wakes up in the morning and hopes to have to use any type of force, let alone deadly force. And now this happened, and again, this happened because of kind of what we're seeing around here with a lot of these agitators, these vigilantes kind of surrounding the officers on the street. It's like nothing I've ever seen before working here in the past 20 years.
Sam, we hear from some politicians and critics saying that, you know, you are just going after anybody on the streets. But talk to me about when we hear there's a target list, who's on that list?
Right. In ICE, we do targeted enforcement now, and we've done targeted enforcement the past 20 years that I've been here. Unfortunately, here in Minnesota, we have a lot of targets. I think right now we're sitting on over 60,000 cases that have final orders of removal or in some part of the immigration process, with about 5,000 of them being criminals. So we have a lot of targets, unfortunately, and those are the ones we're focusing on, right? We look through and have priorities. While there has been a surge of resources here, we're still limited in resources, so we'll focus on the criminal aliens who are the worst of the worst and go down the line from there. Immigration law demands us to take action on certain types of aliens that are here, and that's what we're charged to do, and that's what we will do.
And you know, Sam, earlier in the show, I was walking the wall behind me showing some of those worst of worst. You have assaulted teenage children, sexually assaulted them, one individual from El Salvador convicted of 3 homicides, and the list goes on. Would it simply be the case that none of this would happen if these sanctuary jurisdictions like Minneapolis would cooperate with you guys in a peaceful manner, hand them over?
And look, cooperation helps. Any type of law enforcement cooperation, I think, is paramount for public safety, whether that's state, local, federal. It all helps. What I have seen here, thankfully, is just an increased level of cooperation throughout the state, right? I have meetings recently with the Metro Sheriffs, with the Minnesota Chiefs of Police Association, and we have been in talks to figure out like how we can cooperate on these and how we can ensure that the immigration enforcement, which I'm charged with, how we can do that better with their help, right? When we ask for cooperation, we're not asking for these agencies to do our job for us, because we're fully capable of doing that, and now we have the resources to do it. But what we do need is just the level of communication, coordination, and then the cooperation.
Shut up. You sound stupid too.
Bovino, Commander at Large for CBP Assets here in Minneapolis. I'd like to take a few moments here before we take questions and before we hear from my colleague, Mr. Marcos Charles, to talk about a subject that I think is very important given the events over the past couple of days. And that topic is the topic of choices. Choices. Now, choosing or making a choice is one of the only true freedoms that any of us really have, is to make a choice. Whether that's the choice to be here today as the media, the choice to go to school, join the military, join law enforcement. Making a choice is a freedom that resides within us. Now, good choices are important in life, as we all know. And many actions that take place are due to our choices. The choice to, say, cross the border illegally, that is a choice that someone makes. To cross the border illegally, that's a choice. The choice not to utilize the CBP Home app, that's a choice. not standing in line and doing it the right way, that is a choice. And there are always actions that result from our choices. When you choose to use your 5-year-old child as a shield to evade law enforcement, that is a choice that someone makes. And there are actions and consequences that result from that choice. Or when you're a politician or a community leader, you make a lot of choices there, some very important, wide-ranging, and in-depth choices. When, as a politician, if you choose collusion and corruption as a choice, then there are consequences and actions that take place because of that. That's one reason the U.S. Border Patrol and ICE are here in Minneapolis by the thousands, is because of those choices. When politicians, community leaders, and some journalists engage in that heated rhetoric we keep talking about, when they make the choice to vilify law enforcement, calling law enforcement names like Gestapo, or using the term kidnapping, that is a choice that is made. There are actions and consequences that come from those choices. And then when you choose, when someone chooses to listen to a politician, a so-called journalist, a community leader that spouted that type of vilification towards law enforcement or anything else, when you choose to listen to that, that is a choice, and there are consequences and actions there also. I think we saw that.
Shut up, stupid.
All right, we have what appears to be another justified shooting by ICE, or this time Border Patrol agents in Minnesota. This time it was this guy, Alex Pretti. He is the one that decided to bring a gun with him and continue to engage with ICE officers or with Border Patrol agents during this observing that he says he was doing. Now, regardless of, this guy is there to obstruct. That's his purpose, that's his reason. Now, he's armed. Obviously, he has a weapon on him. Here are the videos that I believe show why I believe this is a justified shooting, and you've seen all of them, I'm sure, but if you saw the slow motion video here, there's multiple things that we can see. In the video, we see this guy grabbing something with his left hand. He looks like he's reaching into his waistband. He clearly looks like he's reaching with his left hand into his waistband. There is something in his right hand. I don't know what that is. It's not clear enough to see. We also have the man in gray, the law enforcement guy in gray, appears to pull a gun from Alex Pretti while he's on the ground. He pulls a gun out of his, apparently from behind him, like where his behind is. He pulls this gun. He doesn't have the gun when he reaches in. He has the gun when he comes out. While this is all happening, you hear clearly in the video somebody yelling, "Gun, gun, gun." Now, is that in reference to the gun that the guy pulled out? Do they see another gun? I don't know. Now, in this moment, everything happens in 2 seconds. Now, we can clearly look back and analyze all this. We have the liberty and the privilege of slow motion replay and second guessing. These guys, these fathers, brothers, and sons, have just split seconds to react. Okay, so all of this happens at the same time. Guy pulls the gun out of his waistband. The suspect reaches with his left hand, has something in his right hand, and someone's yelling, "Gun, gun, gun." Okay? They have no idea if this guy has a second pistol on him. Even if they didn't see the guy pull the gun out, they don't know if he's got another gun. There's too many things happening at one time here. I believe that it's completely justified for them to shoot this guy. Now, it's sad. You don't want to see this happen to anybody. And again, you should not be putting yourself in a situation where you are armed and you are engaging with law enforcement officers. That is 10 times out of 10 going to end up in a deadly situation for you. Okay, so this guy had an opportunity to back right away. As soon as he sees ICE officers begin to engage and step forward, you back away, hands up, I'm out of here, I apologize, that's it. Because you know you have a gun on you, and this could be deadly. That's not what this guy chose to do. This guy chose to engage, and it ended up deadly for him. Again, all of these things seem to happen at one time. The guy he has a gun pulled out from his back. He's reaching with his left hand into his waistband. He's got something in his right hand. Someone yells, gun, gun, gun. All of those things happening simultaneously ends up in this guy being eliminated. Again, it's sad to see this happen. Why it's happening is because Tampon Tim Waltz, Jacob Frey, the phony Somali wannabe, have refused to de-escalate this situation. They can end it in a moment if they just stand up there and say, yes, we disagree with ICE. We don't like Trump. We don't want him to be here. But please, do not interfere with ICE operations. Do not obstruct them from doing their job. Do not engage with them in a violent way. If they would just do that and tell their people to stop doing that, this could be over. Now, maybe they won't listen, but it has a much better chance of being de-escalated rather than when you're standing up on the podium calling them the Gestapo and Nazis and lying to people about them kidnapping innocent children. That is the reason why we're where we're at right now. And never forget who Alex Petty and Renee Good died trying to protect. Here are just some of the thousands of child rapists, murderers, violent criminals that have been pulled off the streets because of ICE. Never forget, these are the people that the left protesters are willing to give their life for. Child sex offenders, child traffickers, murderers, rapists. Those are the people that they are trying to stop ICE from arresting. Don't ever get that confused. That is exactly who they're protecting. And now we have this other sad situation that has occurred. Did the guy have a gun on him? Yes. Was he attacking ICE officers? Yes. Did he deserve to die? No. But when you put yourself into that situation, there's a good chance it's going to happen. You cannot fault the officers there who are already in a highly tense situation because the Democrats have put a bullseye on their back. Now, you don't want to see anybody get killed like this. You have the right to protest. Show up and protest. They've been telling ICE to go F themselves for days. Fine, that's great. Go ahead. When you are told to disperse, when you're told to back up, when you're...
Shut up. You sound stupid too.
Violence, and you have ICE responding to that with deadly force. You don't have a long-term solution. What you do is you're stirring the pot and creating like mini civil wars all over the country that people are watching on television, but you don't have like the enforcement of laws.
I think after that woman was shot, I think unfortunately, well, everything's unfortunate about it, right? But one of the real problems is now ICE are villains, and now people are looking at them like murderous military people that are on the streets of our city, and they're masked up, which is also a problem, right? Because if you get arrested by a cop, you're allowed to ask the cop, what is your name and badge number? And you could film that cop. If you get arrested by an ICE agent, you have no such right. They're wearing a mask. They don't have to tell you shit. That's a problem. That's a problem on our city streets, right? Because you could also pretend to be an ICE agent.
Right. I was taken back by the White House, who initially put out what I defined as misrepresentation of what took place there when you look at the video. It was said that Mr. Pretti was banishing a weapon. Well, he was not banishing a weapon. Yes, he did have a weapon. It was said that by the White House that Mr. Pretti attacked those agents. No, he did not attack those agents. And one of the White House individuals called Mr. Pretti a domestic terrorist. I find this man is dead. He has a family. And to go out and call him a domestic terrorist without giving any more information is just unacceptable.
The reality is that if Comer had any legitimate explanation for any of this, he wouldn't need to deflect and obfuscate. He wouldn't need to pivot to the Democrats, but he doesn't, and so he won't. Instead, he'll defer back to his tribal instincts and blindly defend the red team, even though the red team used to have some pretty strong feelings about a tyrannical government coming to take your guns and shoot people with no due process. But I guess that's what you get with today's GOP. No long-standing principles, no values, no concern over hypocrisy, just blind allegiance to the big government God King, no matter who has to die in service of it. Before you go, if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more and support independent media, please subscribe to this channel. The subscribe button will be right here on the screen. But second, the reality is that we are now in a political environment where this administration can lean on any of the social media platforms to suppress certain voices if they don't like critical coverage. That means my longevity here is in the hands of a few tech billionaires who are already making it clear that they are willing to cater to this administration. To that end, signing up for my newsletter is a way for me to reach you directly if that ever becomes necessary. I'll put the link right here on the screen as well, so please sign up. It's free, but there's also an option to do a paid subscription if you'd like to support me and my team. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching.
Here again with Darren Porcher. He's a former NYPD lieutenant. DHS and the Trump administration have made a lot of claims, and thank you for Darren for being with us again for this. They made a lot of claims about what happened in Minneapolis yesterday. But we have a lot of video that shows what happened yesterday in the moments leading up to Alex Pretti's killing at the hands of federal agents. And I want to start with the very first video that we all saw yesterday, around 11 a.m. Eastern, when we started to first hear reports of the shooting. This video that I'm going to show you is taken by a bystander who is, and this is important, Darren, he's indoors across the street. So it's a bit difficult to see and hear exactly what's going on. But again, I've got a lot of video, so we're going to corroborate all of this. What you're about to see is a struggle between one man, Alex Pretti, and several federal agents. A warning, and I will warn you ahead of all of these are all graphic videos. You will hear gunshots at the end of this one.
They're doing too much, man, and they keep pushing people, you know?
Now, this is the first video we had yesterday, and Darren, we were talking to experts yesterday morning, and they all said, it's not a clear enough video to make a determination, and we don't have enough context. We don't know what happened immediately prior to that. So let me show you what else we have. That video didn't show us what was going on before the shooting or what led to it, but since yesterday morning, as is the case with so many of these interactions that involve federal agents these days, several other videos and angles from the scene have surfaced, and they paint a much clearer picture. Now, before I show you more video, I want to read to you from the Department of Homeland Security's account of the fatal shooting. DHS says Pretti, quote, approached agents with a semi-automatic handgun. Just a note, by the way, for me, pretty much all modern pistols are semi-automatic. It just means that when you pull the trigger, you can pull it again without recharging the gun. They are legal to carry if you have a permit for one in Minneapolis, which police say Pretti did have. Here's the quote from DHS. An individual approached U.S. Border Patrol officers with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun. The officers attempted to disarm the suspect, but the armed suspect violently resisted. Fearing for his life and the lives and safety of his fellow officers, an agent fired defensive shots. Okay, that's what CBP says. While talking to reporters, the CBP chief, Greg Bovino, also claimed that Pretti wanted to, quote, massacre law enforcement. But the videos that have surfaced appear to contradict this account. In fact, we've been unable, in all the videos we've seen, to identify a gun in Pretti's hands at any point during this interaction. But that's just us. We're going to let you see for yourself. This next video is going to give us some more context. I'm going to play it out fully first. And what I want you to do is pay attention to the man in the khaki pants, the brown jacket, and the black baseball cap. Tall guy. That's Alex Pretti. Again, I'm going to play this for you in full, and then Darren and I are going to break it down. This starts off slowly. It's going to be about 30 seconds of not knowing what's going on. 36 seconds in, you are going to see Pretti's first physical interaction with a federal agent. About 1 minute in, you'll hear the first gunshot. Another warning. This is graphic. Okay, now let's break this down bit by bit. Let's go to the video here, and we'll start with a bystander recording of the video, right? So we've got two other protesters here interacting with a federal agent. Here you've got Alex Pretti. He emerges into frame in a brown jacket, black cap, tan pants. In one hand, he is recording. In his right hand, he's recording with his phone. His left hand, you can see, is empty, and what you can see is he's waving traffic through. You can still see the other two protesters who are interacting with the agent. Pretty's still in the street, okay? And he's waving a car through. Watch this. He's inviting cars to pass by. And remember, DHS said that Pretti approached agents with a gun. This video seems to show otherwise.
Ali, this is clearly alternative facts. We have an individual that's looking to assist as it relates to moving traffic through. Although he's not a traffic control agent, but he's looking to somewhat instill a level of order as it relates to what's happening at the scene here.
Order as opposed to disorder. The way they painted this is that this guy went up to cops with a loaded gun. We've now seen 3 videos and we haven't seen that.
Right, let's be clear. There's no aggressive actions on the part of the deceased. He's holding a cell phone. He's trying to capture the interaction between the ICE agents, but he in no way, shape, or form is approaching the ICE agents, nor is he introducing a threat to law enforcement.
You could even argue that he's disrupting traffic, but he's not. He's doing the opposite of disrupting traffic. He's actually encouraging traffic to go through.
Not at all. Not at all. He is encouraging traffic to come through, but he's not looking to disrupt traffic, as you stated. But more so important is he's not providing any threat to law enforcement, as we see in this video.
He's distant from them. He's across the street. Okay, as the video continues, Pretti is now going to be walking toward the other two protesters and the federal agent with whom they're interacting across the street. The camera that's recording, you can see it jostles around a little bit, but then we see Pretti, that's him right there, okay? You see him appearing to help one of the protesters, then he's hit with what appears to be an irritant. We've seen a lot of these federal agents carrying pepper spray in and around Minneapolis. So take a look at this. All right, so here, let's be clear on what we've got. We've got federal agents all around. There's a protester here. This is the person whom Pretti appears to have been trying to help. This is Pretti right here. He's got his back to the agents. What do you make of where we are now?
What we see now is a woman that was pushed to the ground by ICE. She's on the ground, so it appears as if Mr. Pretti is looking to provide her with a level of assistance, such as bringing her up to a position where she can be okay. He's not, once again, providing a threat to law enforcement, because when we look at law enforcement, these agents, they're to Pretty's back. Pretti is moving towards the individual that fell to the floor. Once again, there's no threat to law enforcement because he's looking to garner or give her a level of assistance.
And remember, because you and I have talked about police shootings for a long time, one big giveaway when it's not a clean shoot is that the person's got their back to you. It's very hard to attack someone backward.
That is true, but the perception in no way, shape, or form presents itself to the officer as a perceived threat.
All right, so let's take a look at this. This next movement, the next moment that I'm going to show you is very quick, so we've slowed it down. Just as Pretti turns his back to the agents, take a look at this. His right hand, very hard to see, his right hand appears to move toward his right outside jacket. Now, the right hand is the hand in which he was holding the phone, and it appears that he's putting his phone into his pocket. Remember that DHS said officially that he approached agents with a gun. But what we now see, and again, it is hard to see, we've looked at this video many times, but you can see it, both of his hands are empty.
Once again, Ali, the most significant point here is he's not introducing a level of threat to law enforcement. We don't have audio here, but at the same token, he's tendering aid to an individual that's fell to the ground and is possibly injured, which is something that a common citizen I can see doing in a situation like that.
All right, let's continue to roll this with one of the protesters, the one with the red backpack you can see over here, all right, falls against the white car. And as Darren said, it looks like Pretti was trying to help that protester, but then the agents pull them apart. Now the group of agents swarm around Pretti, and Pretti is now fully on the ground. Now, in the next clip, they grapple for about 10 more seconds, and I want you to listen carefully, because about 12 seconds in, while Pretti is on the ground, at least one agent, and you can hear this because this is now video taken on the outside, yells, "Gun." This happens more than 15 seconds, by the way, after Pretti is initially thrown to the ground. Watch.
What is wrong with you? Honestly.
less than 1 second after yelling gun, shots are fired. We count 10 gunshots in total, but again, we are not forensic analysts. Watch these final moments. I want to warn you again, this is disturbing. All right, Darren, this is important. They're jostling, they're on the ground. This has been more than 10 seconds or 15 seconds on the ground where no one has yet suggested that they've encountered a gun. It is practice, right, with police that the minute there's a gun that is not in an officer's hand, someone yells gun, and certain things should be done at that point, including backing away, allowing the police to be safe.
Right, and this goes into tactical positioning, letting your fellow officers know that a firearm is on the scene. This is in accordance with best practices in policing. However, when we see what happens after that, it becomes somewhat disturbing. What we haven't captured in this video yet is the firearm is actually removed from the decedent. And as after the firearm is removed, that's when the individual is shot.
This is really important. These agents were now several feet away before this happens, before the shooting. They're several feet away from a motionless man at whom they've just fired several shots. They still had their guns all drawn and pointed on Pretti lying on the street. But I want to get back to this crucial and specific moment that Darren just talked about. It appears from the video that one of the federal agents took Pretti's handgun moments before they shot him multiple times. The Washington Post enhanced, slowed down, and zoomed in on this moment in the video. Let's watch this together. Pretti is on the ground. His firearm is removed by a federal agent who is over here. He's the one in the gray. Look at that. The firearm is removed. Now, it's entirely possible because the agent who yelled gun appeared to be standing over here. This agent removes this firearm. This is the agent. And then another officer sees the firearm in the hand of the agent, shouts gun, and then gunshots are fired.
That's correct. It appears as if the individual has a holster, and that's why law enforcement was able to zero in and determine that there was a firearm, which is fine. I thought
the police say that he's permitted, and if you're permitted in Minneapolis, you can carry a gun.
This is true, but at the same token, I understand police removing the firearm. That goes in accordance with best practices in policing. But now we have an unarmed person, just at that frame right there, we now have an unarmed civilian that's on the ground. This is before he shot. So when we look to the 1989 Supreme Court decision titled Graham versus Connor, this is what introduces how and when police officers can use force against a citizen. There is no imminent threat here, and that's what Graham versus Connor focuses on. The imminent threat has been removed because the firearm has been taken by law enforcement. After the firearm is removed by law enforcement, that's when we have a barrage of upwards of 10 shots that strike the individual or the deceased, leading to him expiring. This is questionable, and this is something that they're really going to have to explain in a court of law.
So for the rest of us who are not trained in policing, there's adrenaline coursing through your veins. There was some kind of a fight on the ground. We're not sure what was going on, and we see this gun removed. For regular people who are not trained in this, you can imagine the adrenaline still coursing through, and you might carry through on what it is you were going to do when you saw a gun. In other words, shoot the guy. But these are supposed to be trained officers. There's a lot of question about how trained they are, and they don't seem to be all that well trained, but that's the policing magic here, right? You see a gun, the gun is now removed by a fellow officer, so you don't shoot the guy.
Ali, you hit it right on the head. The training is of optimum importance. And I believe that after that firearm was removed, that adrenaline rush was still moving forward. But you have to understand, over 90% of people that are arrested in possession of firearms are not shot. Because you're trained that once the threat dissolves, then there's no need for you to introduce deadly physical force. Here we have the absolute opposite. The aspect of the propensity of an immediate threat to the officers has been removed, because we see in this video the firearm is now in possession of law enforcement. So it begs the question as to why did they shoot this individual when he was unarmed? We see it on video.
Derek.
street after he was told not. I have a take on what happened between Alex Pretti and the Border Patrol.
Well, for Piers Morgan, it's deja vu all over again in the very worst possible way, because the second brutal murder of an American citizen in Minneapolis, Minnesota, at the hands of the Trump administration, has forced Donald Trump's long-suffering British BFF into the awkward position of publicly condemning the Trump administration and indirectly Trump himself for this fiasco. Piers recently did it just a couple of weeks ago following the murder of Renee Good, and now following the murder of Alex Pretti, he's doing it again, and he's doing it from the position of having recently broken his femur and having a hip replacement. So he says that this is motivating him to do a new episode of Piers Morgan Uncensored tomorrow in which this topic is discussed. But in the meantime, he's had a lot to say on social media, and we have to talk about it. But before we do, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, folks, before I walk you through this process, just a couple of things. Piers Morgan recently broke his femur, and I believe had to have hip replacement, and it delayed episodes of Piers Morgan Uncensored, which is why we've not seen.
On January 24th, ICE agents killed another U.S. citizen in Minneapolis, an ICU nurse named Alex Pretti. Kristi Noem says that he approached agents with a handgun and once again slaps the whole domestic terrorist label on him. But watching the videos, as of the moment that I'm recording this, I think we can safely call all of that total bullshit. Now, what the footage actually shows is agents shoving a woman and then turning on Pretti. He gets tackled, slammed to the ground, and from what's visible on camera, appears to be disarmed before he's even shot. Now, I've never really talked about this, but when the full-scale war in Ukraine began, I happened to be there that day. And as insane as it sounds, I honestly felt safer there than I think I would as a regular person living in Minneapolis in 2026. So, in short, 2 U.S. citizens are dead within 3 weeks, protests haven't stopped, and ICE hasn't changed a damn thing. Oh, and there's also that letter that's allegedly from Pam Bondi to Tim Walz, where she says that ICE will pull out if the state turns over its voter database. I can't say for sure whether or not that's real right now, but after everything we've seen, it honestly wouldn't shock me at all. So, over the next 15 minutes, we're going to break down everything with no bias, emotion, or any kind of spin. And here's the plan. I'm going to feed those Minneapolis videos into AI and allow it to react to what actually happened based purely on the footage. Then I'll show it that letter, allegedly from Pam Bondi, and get its take. And by the end, I'm going to ask for real practical advice for regular people on how to act during ICE raids, how to stay alive, and how to minimize risk in situations like this. And here's a quick disclaimer, do not ever treat AI like it's some kind of expert or final authority. This is simply an experiment. I just want to see whether a tool like this can handle something complex without immediately collapsing into talking points. But before we get into it, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, consider doing so. Leave a like, leave a comment, tell me what you think, and feel free to share this video with your friends, colleagues, and others if you think that it's an important conversation to have. All right, thanks for being here. Now, a quick message from our sponsor, and then we'll get into it. Reading the news lately is honestly exhausting. One headline says everything's falling apart, the next one says it's a huge win, same facts, totally different spin. And let's be real, most of us don't have the time or patience to sort through all of it. That's why I use Ground News, the sponsor of today's video. Ground News doesn't just throw a bunch of articles at you and say good luck. It shows how different outlets are covering the exact same story, so you can immediately see how it's being framed and what angle each outlet is pushing. Take this Trump-Canada tariff story. Left-leaning outlets frame it as Trump threatening Canada and blowing up trade. Right-leaning outlets frame it as strong leadership and protecting U.S. interests from China. Ground News puts those takes side by side, left and right, so you can instantly see what's being emphasized and what's getting glossed over. It also shows how many sources are covering the story, where they lean, and how factual they've been over time, which honestly adds a lot of context you don't usually get. What I really like is the blind spot feed. It shows stories that one side of the media is barely covering at all, not because they're fake, just because they don't fit the narrative. So if you're tired of guessing who's spinning you, go to groundnews.com/AI or just scan the QR code. You'll get 40% off of the Unlimited Vantage plan, which comes out to just $5 a month with that link. Once again, that's groundnews.com/AI. The link's in the description and the pinned comment. Big thanks to Ground News for supporting the channel, and now let's get into it. All right, here we are. First things first, I'm gonna have it gather up all the latest information so that it's fully up to date on what took place. I need to do that before sending the videos so that it understands the context that this is the United States, ICE, all of that stuff. Okay, it's ready. So now, last time with the Renee Good case, a lot of you said that I didn't give it enough information and that just sending it footage wasn't good enough. So this time, I'm telling it that this involves ICE shooting a man, what authorities are claiming, and that the man was allegedly disarmed before he was shot. Oh, and yeah, it of course needs to be clear and straightforward and totally unbiased with no sugarcoating or fluff or any of that. Just an honest take based on the information I gave and the videos. And to keep this fair so nobody says I'm steering it toward a certain answer, I'm also telling it not to take my explanation at face value. I just want it to watch the footage itself and say what it sees. All right, we're all set, so now let's see what it has to say. I didn't take anyone's explanation at face value here, including yours. I watched the videos on their own and judged this based strictly on what's actually visible on camera. What the videos show is a planned ICE operation that turns lethal almost immediately, and how it unfolds matters more than the official explanation. The agents arrive together in tactical gear and move fast. This isn't a careful, controlled approach. They close distance aggressively in a public space with cars, pedestrians, and cameras everywhere. From the start, the posture is force, not control. The footage shows that escalation initiated by ICE, not by the man who was later shot. Once they rush him and take him to the ground, control should be the priority. Instead, it turns into a pile-on. At that point, the agents are responsible for what happens next because they fully committed to physical domination of the scene. This is where the visuals matter most. There are moments that strongly suggest he is disarmed before the shots are fired. If a suspect is already disarmed, on the ground, and surrounded by multiple armed agents, lethal force is no longer about stopping an immediate threat. It becomes about fear, poor coordination, or someone panicking in a situation they themselves helped create. That's not a legal argument, that's a common sense one. ICE's narrative relies on the idea of an advancing armed suspect. These videos don't cleanly support that. They show an operation that escalated too fast, sprayed first, confused the scene, and then lost discipline once things got physical. The shooting doesn't come across as controlled or inevitable. It comes across as something that happened after agents boxed themselves into a chaotic situation. To be fair, being armed during an enforcement operation is always dangerous, even if it's legal. The man made choices that increased risk, but the video suggests the decisive, irreversible choice was made by agents after they already had numbers, physical control, and time to slow things down. That's the line that matters. My honest take, this looks like a preventable killing caused by aggressive tactics, bad escalation, and a failure to de-escalate once control was achieved. If this were truly justified, the videos would clearly show an unmistakable immediate threat at the moment of the shots. Instead, they show confusion, pepper spray, a disarmed man, and gunfire anyway. That's not a good look, and it deserves serious accountability, not a press release. Not a good look? That's the softest possible way to put it. What makes this even more insane is that this is the third ICE shooting in Minneapolis in about 3 weeks. People have been protesting non-stop the entire time, and clearly it hasn't changed how ICE operates at all. Now, there's also that letter, which is allegedly from Pam Bondi, where she's basically telling Minnesota officials that ICE will pull back if the state hands over its voter rolls. As I'm recording this, there's no solid proof that it's real, but if it is, I'm really curious what ChatGPT has to say about it. Before we get into that, real quick, be sure to hit that like button on this video to help it reach more people, subscribe to the channel so you never miss one of our great videos, and share the video if you can. All of that genuinely helps push this out further, so make sure that you do that, and we'll get to the next question. Alright, I'm about to send the screenshot of Pam Bondi's letter to ChatGPT and ask what it thinks about it, and here it is. If this is true, it's straight up coercion, not governance. Using ICE as a bargaining chip to pressure a state into handing over voter data crosses a serious line. That's not about immigration enforcement, and it's not about election integrity. It's about power. This kind of move poisons everything it touches. It makes ICE look like a political weapon instead of a law enforcement agency. It makes voter oversight look like a partisan fishing expedition instead of a legal process. And it puts state officials in an impossible position. Comply and look compromised, or resist and get blamed for the fallout. Even people who support tough immigration policy should be alarmed by this. Mixing immigration enforcement.
Hit that like button, double tap that screen. Hit that like button, double tap that screen. Y'all better understand what's really going on here today, right now, and understand that the real is real and the fake ain't fake. But I'm gonna tell you right now, ain't no way they don't think they gotta be out their mind and think that this is out of their mind. Let's go.
Donald Trump is absolutely losing it right now as his attempt to cover up the cold-blooded murder of Alex Jeffrey Pretti has utterly failed. Donald Trump is stunned as his own MAGA base is turning against him based on this despicable cover-up. Donald Trump is seeing groups like the NRA turning against him. Donald Trump is seeing MAGA Republicans in the House and Senate turning against him. Donald Trump is seeing MAGA influencers. He's seeing groups like Barstool turn against him. He's seeing far right-wing writers turn against him. He's seeing other Second Amendment advocates turning against him. You see, Donald Trump has overplayed his hand in trying to engage in his most despicable cover-up yet. And the American people are seeing this for the watershed moment that it is. Frankly, the people in the United States should have been well aware of this before, but this has now reached a fever pitch as Donald Trump and his regime attempted to defame Alex Pretti after he was brutally murdered in cold blood by the Border Patrol Gestapo. By now, I'm sure you know most of the facts. That Alex Pretti was at a peaceful protest in Minneapolis. A female protester was being brutalized by Trump's Border Patrol Gestapo. She was being pepper sprayed. Alex Pretti saw what was happening. He went to help the female protester. That's when the Border Patrol Gestapo started pepper spraying Pretti. They then started beating on him. They gang tackled him. They threw him to the floor. They bludgeoned him over and over again. And then they shot him repeatedly, at least 11 times, and Pretti was killed. Thereafter, the Trump regime tried to frame Pretti and say it was because he had a concealed handgun. Well, then it turned out that he did indeed have a concealed handgun, but he was a legal permit holder of a concealed handgun. He never took the handgun out of its holster. The handgun was where it was supposed to be the entire time. It's exactly why we have a Second Amendment. And in fact, what appears to have taken place is that Trump's Border Patrol Gestapo went into the holster, took out the handgun. Then when there was no handgun in sight, when there was no threat whatsoever, and by the way, there was no threat whatsoever the entire time, the Border Patrol Gestapo murdered Alex Pretti in cold blood. We're learning lots of information about Pretti. What an incredible, courageous person he is. He's the type of hero who did exactly what he did before he was brutally murdered by Trump's Border Patrol Gestapo, where he helped the female protester who was being brutalized by the Gestapo. Pretti was an ICU nurse. He worked at the Minneapolis VA, and from all of the family members of his patients and the patients that he treated at the VA, everybody describes him as one of the most incredible people ever. He's someone who dedicated his life to service. That's why he was working at the VA. He's someone who was very much involved in the sciences and the medicine, trying to always make people's lives better. He was an outdoorsman, a dog dad, and an all-around incredible person. And when the Trump regime immediately came out with statements trying to frame Pretti, calling him a domestic terrorist, saying that because he had a concealed carry permit, that he deserved to be murdered by the Border Patrol Gestapo, Donald Trump, Greg Bovino, Kristi Noem. Bovino heads the Border Patrol. Kristi Noem heads the Department of Homeland Security. She's the DHS secretary. They all came out with statements. Why in the world would you concealed carry at a protest? You're not allowed to do that. You're going to die. And then so people were asking, so you're saying that if you peacefully protest, First Amendment right, conceal carry with the legal permit, Second Amendment right, you deserve to be shot and killed, you deserve to be murdered? What the hell are you talking about? And folks, the impact of Donald Trump's disastrous cover-up and this brutal murder is now reverberating across the country and across the world. I'm going to do another video about it this morning, but there's an entire boycott USA, boycott World Cup movement that was already brewing, which is accelerating. People in other countries are saying, why the hell would we want to go to the United States where if we show up, we're going to get killed by Border Patrol and ICE Gestapo? Who wants to go to a World Cup game when you can die, when you can get gassed, when you can get brutalized by the Border Patrol Gestapo? Not to mention that the day began yesterday with Donald Trump threatening 100% tariffs on Canada because Canada was entering into a strategic trade agreement with China, which Donald Trump previously said that he thought was a good idea for Prime Minister Carney to do. And then he calls him Governor Carney. And Trump just goes around offending the entire world, disgracing the United States. And what, it was less than 48 hours ago, though it feels like a week ago or even more at this point, where we age in dog years under the Trump regime, where he basically said if you were in NATO and you fought with the United States in Afghanistan, you didn't really fight on the front lines, that you're a sucker and a loser, and that other nations didn't sacrifice with the United States. That created massive international backlash. Then that led to earlier yesterday morning where the murder of Alex Pretti took place. And then right before that, Donald Trump made these statements attacking Prime Minister Carney and Canada. Let's take a look at what's happening as well. You have the Republican chairman, Representative Garabirino, who's formally requested testimony from ICE, CBP, USCIS, at a full committee hearing. Congress has an important responsibility to ensure the safety of law enforcement and the people they serve to protect. And here's a letter to Todd Lyons, the acting director of ICE right now. On January 15, 2016, the Committee on Homeland Security staff invited you to testify at the hearing, and he said you now have to show up formally. This is the Republican who chairs the Homeland Security Committee, saying that these people need to show up. That all of these ICE heads and Border Patrol heads need to show up. We're now also seeing that some of the Democrats who we were being very critical of here on the Midas Touch Network because they were considering funding ICE and Border Patrol in the current funding package, the government will shut down unless these funding packages are passed by the House and the Senate. By now, I'm sure you know, the House passed its portion of the appropriations bill, and now it went to the United States Senate. And the senators who may potentially have supported it are now saying they're not going to support it because they will not support any funding bill that gives additional money to the Department of Homeland Security, ICE, and Border Patrol. Leader Schumer for the Democrats put out the following statement. What's happening in Minnesota is appalling and unacceptable in any American city. Democrats sought common sense reforms in the Department of Homeland Security spending bill, but because of Republicans' refusal to stand up to Trump, the DHS bill is woefully inadequate to rein in the abuses of ICE. I will vote no. Senate Democrats will not provide the votes to proceed to the appropriations bill if the DHS funding bill is included, to which Democratic Congresswoman AOC responded to Schumer's statement by saying, "This is the strength of response we need. People's calls and organizing worked. Thank you to all who mobilized. No action is ever too small. That is why we never give up. Thank you, Senate Dems." And while I'm sure you, like me, are very disappointed, I'm putting it lightly, I should say horrified, at some of those House Democrats who voted to allow additional funding to ICE and to Border Patrol. It was only a small group of those House Dems, which at this point I believe, frankly, is disqualifying, and I want to hear from all of them what they have to say. I am proud that AOC and others have been pushing the Senate to do the right thing, and even though some of these senators were wishy-washy and have betrayed us in the past, and they still may in the future, I am glad that they're putting out a statement saying no funding to ICE. This is an existential issue. If you fund ICE, you should not be reelected at this point. ICE needs to go. Border Patrol needs to go. It's that simple. It's a black and white issue to me, and it should be to the rest of the country at this point. Jake Sherman, who covers the Senate and Congress generally for Punchbowl, says the following: "The ICE situation's a nightmare for the Senate. Cannot see a scenario in which Senate Dems can vote for this 6-bill package, which includes Department of Homeland Security funding. The government shuts down Friday. The first Senate procedural vote, not likely until Wednesday." So we'll see what happens there. And meanwhile, you had people like Stephen Miller and the White House account and Donald Trump making posts like this. Stephen Miller goes, "A would-be assassin tried to murder federal law enforcement, and the official Democrat account sides with the terrorists," referring to Alex Pretti as a terrorist and peaceful protesters as terrorists. No, the real terrorist is Stephen Miller, is Donald Trump, is Kristi Noem, is Greg Bovino. This was posted from Trump's account as well as the official White House account. "This is the gunman's gun, loaded with 2 additional full magazines and ready to go. What is that all about? Where are the local police? Why aren't they allowed to protect ICE officers?" And then the statement goes on to call Alex Pretti a terrorist and an insurrectionist, and the governor's insurrectionist. And then these right-wing influencers like this guy Alex, who's a total shill, goes, "More blood on the hands of Democrats." Dude, shut up. Shut the hell up. But you have people like Tim Pool. Tim Pool, you don't get much more MAGA than Tim Pool as a podcaster. He goes, "Empty hand, the gun in hand. Appears the man may have been disarmed before being shot. This is a chain of events in a greater conflict. Neither side cares at this point what justifies it or doesn't. I don't see Trump winning this one." Or how about this guy who writes for Red State? "The claim that he approached the officers with a gun with the intent to massacre them is nonsense." Because that's what Kristi Noem and Greg Bovino and Trump and all these MAGAs were out there saying. They put out a statement right away, without even knowing Alex Pretti's background, without knowing the heroism he showed his entire life, the selflessness he showed as an ICU nurse, helping veterans and working at the VA, without even knowing the facts that he was there peacefully, that he had a concealed carry permit. The Trump regime immediately slandered in his death Alex Pretti, and they said he was there to massacre everyone. This was part of his plan to massacre. But even this writer from Red State goes, he doesn't draw the weapon, he doesn't reach for it, and instead he gets pepper sprayed while trying to pull another protester off the ground. No one with the intent to commit a massacre is going to do all of that instead of, just standing back, drawing their weapon and firing. Now, this comes from KFC Barstool. This is the Barstool, right-wing, MAGA-ish people. Here's what they had to say. And I think these Barstool people are largely responsible, with a lot of other right-wing podcasters, of perverting the minds of lots of young men and teaching them the wrong things about what's alpha and what's strong. It was always weakness masquerading as strength. It was always the most pathetic stuff. And as a man, that pissed me off to see all these young men being led down this path towards Trumpian rune, a fraudster, a disrespectful, vile piece of trash. But anyway, here's what KFC Barstool just posted. 37-year-old ICU nurse Alex Pretti murdered by ICE in broad daylight with zero justification for deadly force. I mean zero. This feels like a watershed moment in American history that should enact change, but won't. Very reminiscent of Sandy Hook when we all said, if that didn't get us to change, we never will. Feels like another one of those. Because if you cannot admit this was wrong, you're either an idiot or a liar, and I think you're a bad person and an un-American asshole. The hypocrisy from the same people who have been proudly screaming about the First and Second Amendment for hundreds of years now, trying to say protesting and carrying a legal firearm is reason enough to be murdered. What a joke. And the response from Donald Trump and our leaders to walls is all dangerous and pathetic. We're just a third world country now where masked morons with no training and a gun can kill you for no reason other than, well, we won't get in trouble for it, or out of all the dumb entities to blindly follow for your political affiliations, supporting ICE and Border Patrol is by far the most pathetic. ICE agents and their supporters are the biggest trash in America ever. And by the way, you had people like Donald Trump's United States Attorney, or first assistant United States Attorney for the Central District of California, Bill Saley. He goes, if you approach law enforcement with a gun, there is a high likelihood they will be legally justified in shooting you. Don't do it. To which the NRA said, this sentiment from the first assistant United States Attorney for the Central District of California is dangerous and wrong. Responsible public voices should be waiting a full investigation, not making generalizations and demonizing law-abiding citizens. And folks, we all saw with our eyes what happened to Alex Pretti. I showed that video many times before. I don't need to show it any more times. You can go and look at it. He was murdered in cold blood. It's not my opinion. It's not my perspective. It is simply the facts. It is what happens on the videotape. I don't need a further investigation. I've seen the video. It is obvious. To the extent there's a further investigation, I want to know who the hell these ICE and Border Patrol agent murderer thugs are and who else they're doing this to that might not be caught on camera. Now, yesterday in the evening, a lawsuit was also filed by the Hennepin County District Attorney's Office, that's the county where Minneapolis is in, demanding immediate access to federal evidence in the Border Patrol agent's deadly shooting during what took place on Saturday. The Border Patrol, Gestapo, ICE, and DHS are refusing to even let the FBI do the investigation, and they've totally prevented the local state officials, Minneapolis PD, State Attorney General's office, from having any part in the investigation whatsoever. The same thing they did to Renee Nicole Good, who ICE murdered in cold blood. They're doing now in connection with the investigation of Alex Pretti. They're doing the same thing here that they did there. It is utterly despicable. And so the Hennepin County District Attorney's Office, filed a lawsuit demanding that they be given access to the investigation. And they said, under the 10th Amendment, we have a law enforcement responsibility. You can't have the FBI also be cut out, or just you can't have the feds in general cut out local law enforcement from doing the job of local law enforcement. It's not allowed, period, full stop. So you have that lawsuit. We're just learning more about Alex Pretti from his colleagues like Dr. Dimitri Dranoka, who said Alex Pretti was a colleague at the VA. We hired him to recruit for our trial. He became an ICU nurse. I loved working with him. He was a good, kind person who lived to help, and these efforts executed him. Alex, from our time working together while he was in nursing school, later he moved to ICU, working as a nurse to support critically ill veterans. He had such a great attitude. We chat between patients about trying to get in a mountain bike ride together. Well, that will never happen now. We also heard from Mac Randolph. Rest in peace, Alex Pretti. He was my dad's ICU nurse, and he read my dad's final salute at the VA after he passed away. Never wanted to share this video, but his speech is very on point. Also, my father's final words to me was, continue to fight the good fight. He would be honored in Alex's sacrifice, and ashamed of this current administration. In my dad's words, I encourage you all to continue the fight. Continue to fight the good fight. I played that video on the video I made last night. If you want to go and watch that, you can go and watch that video again. But I want to read for you now the statement from the family of Alex Pretti that they issued yesterday evening. We are heartbroken, but also very angry. Alex was a kind-hearted soul who cared deeply for his family and friends, and also the American veterans whom he cared for. As an ICU nurse at the Minneapolis VA hospital, Alex wanted to make a difference in this world. Unfortunately, he will not be with us to see his impact. I do not throw around the hero term lightly. However, his last thought and act was to protect a woman. The sickening lies that have been told about our son by the administration are reprehensible and disgusting. Alex is clearly not holding a gun when attacked by Trump's murdering and cowardly ICE thugs. He has his phone in his right hand, and his empty left hand is raised above his head while trying to protect the woman ICE just pushed down, all while being pepper sprayed. Please get the truth out about our son. He was a good man. And I want to reference this as well. Two other things. First, we're learning that Pam Bondi, yesterday morning, before the murder took place, sent an extortion letter to Governor Walz and to the Minnesota government officials, the AG, Mayor Fry of Minneapolis. And as Matt McDermott says, as insane as this sounds, it's true. Pam Bondi sent Minnesota officials a letter yesterday saying ICE would leave the state if Minnesota turns over its voter files to the Trump regime. They're openly using state terrorism as a bargaining chip to seize election infrastructure. That's what went down yesterday. And also it should be noted that the Trump regime tried to get the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals to issue an arrest warrant of Don Lemon. And they tried to go around the chief district court judge, who is a George W. Bush appointee. They went around his back while the chief judge was working at home to help his mentally disabled adult son attend certain classes. The DOJ went around the back of the chief district court judge, ran to the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals to try to get them to issue a warrant to arrest Don Lemon for videotaping a protest at a church in St. Paul. The 8th Circuit Court of Appeals rejected it. And you have this letter from this George W. Bush judge saying, I apologize. He's writing a letter to the 8th Circuit when he finds out that Trump DOJ went around his back. I apologize for addressing this letter to you, but for reasons I will describe, I don't have any other option. I'm working from home today as the program that my mentally disabled son attends each day is closed because of the extreme cold. At 11:34 a.m., I received an email regarding the case entitled NRA United States. This is the first that I have heard of any petition for a writ of mandamus. The United States did not have the courtesy to tell me that they would be filing such a petition, nor did the United States serve the petition on me. I am unable to access any documents because at the request of the United States, the case is sealed, apparently even from me, so I have been given about 2.5 hours to respond to a mandamus petition that I have not read and that I cannot read. You have a George W. Bush judge calling out the criminality of the Trump DOJ as they attempted there to get the Court of Appeals, the Circuit Court, to arrest Don Lemon as well. I know I covered a lot right there, but that's your comprehensive update of everything taking place. I don't want to show the videos of Kristi Noem anymore, where she says that Alex Pretti's a domestic terrorist. I don't want to show you the Greg Bovino video. I'll show you the screenshot of it where they say that he's a domestic terrorist, but I don't want to hear their voice this morning, so I'm not going to play it. That's what's going down. We'll keep you posted every step of the way. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million subscribers. Thanks for watching.
If you want to stay plugged in, become a subscriber to our subs.
Let me tell you something. Hit that like button, double tap that screen right now. Hit that like button, double tap that screen right now. You hear me? Hit that like button, double tap that screen right now. Because I'm going to tell you something.
This right here, first of all, RIP, okay? But this right here, fam, is new Nazi action. This is Nazi action. This is, and I told you that Trump had, the guy that they had in office when they went and bombed those boats, that guy got a whole Nazi tattooed on, he got a whole Nazi symbol tattooed on his chest, okay? Now, I had to think about it for a minute because he is like the Secretary of Defense and of Wars. And they had just bombed those boats. We did an episode, go check it out. Did an episode on this guy. He got the whole Nazi symbol on his chest. And he is the American Secretary of Defense. Now think about that for a minute. You don't even realize what Trump from, who Trump really is. His background, his mama and his daddy. You don't even know who he's connected to. So think about that for a second. You ever looked at Trump's sons? Or even look at his younger son? Look at Melanie Trump. Melanie Trump is not American. Some of these people are Yugoslavic. You understand? They on that level. So when I speak to you about understanding, if you can go look at the tree of everybody that's been hired in Trump's staff, half of them not American at all. All of them has something or related to Nazi background. Oh, let's talk tonight. Bet something about you what you didn't know. But I'm telling you this because I'm about to drop a real gem on you, Ruth. Get ready. Get your popcorn, get your juice, get everything. You better get it right now. Get comfortable right now. I'm about to drop something on y'all that y'all ain't gonna realize because you know Dilla T got receipts. You know we're here to save your life. Hit that like button, double tap that screen. You better open up your ears right now. Open up your eyes and your face. All 319 of you right now. I'm finna give you something you ain't even know about. But I knew this because I keep seeing this one person act funny and act different. Are we ready? Press 1. Are we ready to drop this jewel on you right now? I bet you ain't know what I'm finna drop on you. Hit that like button. I bet you ain't know what I'm finna drop on you. Hit that like button, Chris. Ruth, Chris, drop a 1 if you're ready. Because I bet you ain't know this. I bet it all. Hit that like button, double tap that screen. Because we're here to save your life. Become a member today. We're here to save your life. I ain't gonna see no ones. We're here to save your life. Hit a 1 right now. Because you about to hear this. You about to see this. I bet you ain't know what I'm gonna press play on. I bet you ain't know. Here we go. We ready? Here we go. Here we go. Be ready. Here we go. I bet you ain't know this. We talk about what's really going on. We reading in between the lines. We read in between the lines. We're here to inform, understand, be aware. Hit that 1. I need to know you're ready. I need to know you're ready because I bet on my mama, I know you don't know this. Here we go. Let's get popping right now. Here we go. Let's go. Put your ears on, put your eyes on. Here we go right now. Let's go.
Now listen, before we get too deep into this video, I'm telling you right now, something demonic is going on in Minnesota. Now some of you might think I'm just crazy, whatever you want to say. Take a look at this. Do y'all remember this?
I am on the ground floor, and as I was leaving my committee meeting today here earlier, I noticed that there is a new display here at the state capitol, and it's for Governor Walz. It's right here on display. So let me see, I mean, I guess I can't flip my phone, but I'll see if I can show it to you. So this is what we have here, everyone, let me read it to you. The Democratic Coalition of Satan Worshippers thanks Governor Tim Walz for not standing in the way of spreading Satanism in the state capitol building. Satan has a special place for you. That's right, everyone.
Of our governor, Tim Walz, and it is from people that are supportive of his efforts. And there is, right here in the East Hall, lower level, that reads the Democratic Coalition of Satan Worshippers thanks Governor Tim Walz for not standing in the way of spreading Satanism.
Now look me real good in my eyes. You think there's nothing wrong with that. Literal satanic worshipers are saying, thank you, Tim Walz. We support what you're doing. And oh, by the way, let's put this satanic imagery and these devil stuff right in the government building. You don't think that's weird? The Bible says give no place to the devil. And they just said, man, yeah, let's. They took 10 commandments out of the school. They took prayer out of the schools and replaced it with this. Wake up.
There is a new holiday display at the Minnesota State Capitol. Look at it. I think it's kind of cute. Now, let's read the reviews, specifically from our GOP members, because they're pretty good. Ben Davis, who is one of our state representatives.
Now listen, before we get too deep into this video, I'm telling you right now, something demonic is going on in Minnesota. Now, some of you might think I'm just crazy, whatever you want to say. Take a look at this. Do y'all remember this?
I am on the ground floor, and as I was leaving my committee meeting today here earlier, I noticed that there is a new display here at the state capitol, and it's for Governor Walz. It's right here on display. So let me see, I mean, I guess I can't flip my phone, but I'll see if I can show it to you. So this is what we have here, everyone, let me read it to you. The Democratic Coalition of Satan Worshippers thanks Governor Tim Walz for not standing in the way of spreading Satanism in the state capitol building. Satan has a special place for you. That's right, everyone.
Of our governor, Tim Walz, and it is from people that are supportive of his efforts. And there it is, right here in the East Hall, lower level. That reads the Democratic Coalition of Satan Worshippers thanks Governor Tim Walz for not standing in the way of spreading Satanism. Thanks Governor Tim Walz for not standing in the way of spreading Satanism.
Now, when you asked me what my thoughts was, look at that. This is my thoughts. Look at this. Look at this. This is what's in the Capitol building in Minnesota. They have openly acknowledged Governor Tim Walz as a coalition Satan worshiper, and that Satan has a special place for that man. Okay? Now, when you ask me what I think of it, see, you know right here, No Filters, we're here to save your life. We're here to bring light to darkness. You understand? We're here to inform, understand, and be aware. We're here to read in between the headline. After we read the headline. This is what I think of this. Because I knew something was brewing deeper than what we all have seen. We continue to see the same problems. We are seeing people drug out of their homes, people drug out of their cars, people openly pushed, women openly pushed down, treated like men, and men being shot and unalived for defending women. Okay? Now, I knew that Governor, the way he was looking in his face, and how he's been out there just lying to these people in their face, how he lied about he having a whole meeting conference and just sitting there lying about, I can't believe they doing this. I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe they over here doing this. We should be doing good protesting and we shouldn't be doing. The whole time, Governor Walz is a part of it. The whole time, the man is a part of it. Now, how would you feel to know that your governor is a part of the of ICE murdering innocent civilians? Let me say that again. How would you feel that you know your governor is a part of innocent civilians being murdered? See, I know somebody feel like, what if that was happening in your city? What could you do? What can those people do? The governor is allowing it. The police is doing nothing about it. If you sneeze too hard, you might get shot. If you defend somebody with your morals that you was taught since a child, you might be shot. If a woman speaks too loud or tries to speak up, you might be shot. If a man defends a woman publicly, you might be killed. Oh, this ain't nothing to play with. When I seen this, I said, oh no, family, we finna talk about this. Because the only thing to talk about is that who gonna do something? Who gonna stand up and do something about this? See, you would think that in the Bible, when it talk about the last days and all the corruption and chaos that comes with it, you don't really know when it's gonna start. But in the same sense, the governors and the White House, the Congress, must be involved to allow this to happen. Are you not stupid? Are you not understanding that the entire government is okay with Trump doing this? Do you understand that Congress is okay with Trump doing this? Nobody's stopping him. Nobody's stopping him. They are funding them and nobody's stopping him. You understand that this is the plan. Let me say that again. This is a man that is the president of the United States. He has created his own coalition force called ICE. And he has done that such to stop immigrants from coming across the border. Now he's using that same task force in Minnesota to bully American citizens. Not immigrants anymore. American citizens. They have turned to just citizens, period. They are illegally killing people. And then they are saying, they are lying, making up excuses for these killings. And nobody's doing nothing to stop it. So when we talk about who is going to do, we should be talking about who is going to stand up, put their life on the line in the government and shut it down. Who is in position to shut this down? Who is in position to take Trump to court? Who is in position to lock Trump up? Who is in position to lock up those people that shot Good and Pretti and others that have been police brutality? Who's going to do something? So when you see that nobody's doing nothing, we can't sit back and say, oh, somebody should be doing something. Or no, they all are working together. This is exactly what this is. This is all of them working together. And they're trying to take Greenland next for the power energy source to fund AI, the Stargate project. So you got to know that there's more to these things that you're looking at in your face. It's way more to this than what you're looking at in your face. Let me say that again. There are stories behind these things that are more to this than what you're looking at in your face. Congress is working with Trump. Democrats and Republicans working with Trump. Nobody is stopping Trump. And why not? Because they are ordered to stand down. If they weren't ordered to stand down, then that means somebody would kick in, somebody would step up, and somebody would know that this is straight slaughter, murder in the streets of America. So when I tell you that they chose Trump to do this, they didn't choose Kamala, they chose Trump. They didn't choose Biden. They chose Trump. They chose the person that was going to show he had no remorse. They chose a person that's not into politics. They chose some regular real estate human being to carry out this allegiant part phase to enslave Americans. This is what this is. This is a phase to enslave Americans. This is not a black and white thing. This is a government against America. This is government against human beings. This is survival. Of the human race. And this is you looking at yourself and looking everybody else in the mirror and says, hey, what side are you on? Are you on the side of death or are you on the side of life? Because for some reason, Trump is on a mission that they chose to create so we can go into the next phase. And that's anarchy, chaos, martial law, and one world government. Okay? You need to be familiar with what's going on. The mission is one world government. The plan is one world government. At the end of the day, it matters about one world government. Because at the end of the day, one world government is one world, one governed by one government. That is making all money be one currency. Everyone on one page. That is the fullness of it. And they can only do that by taking over. And right now, Trump is trying to cause World War III guns. We are in World War III psychological slavery, but they talking about World War III gunnings, World War III wars, where we can actually see the fire going down. So when you sitting there thinking, oh, he just over there doing what they doing, just causing havoc. It's a reason why they over there causing havoc. It's a reason why the governor is allowing it to happen with no pushback. So I urge people to go against Governor Walz. Because Governor Wallace, oh yeah, he is a planet governor that is lying to you. Lying to Minnesota, just lying. He is working with Trump and he's allowing those people to be there. That's why he hasn't fought it. So the governor to the I don't care, everybody in Minnesota crooked. From the governor down to the alderman. You understand me? They all crooked, fam. They coming on the news talking about, I can't believe this is happening. Another person gunned down. Another person killed. Another person shot. But to be honest with you, they know what days somebody's going to be unalived. They know what days it's going to be a real deal Holyfield problem. They know what days that we're going to hear that somebody is gone and is going to hit the news. They know what days. And you got to understand why. You want to know why they doing this? You want to know why the governor doing this? Listen to me, fam. Press 1 if you want to know why the governor working with Trump. Because you see he right here. He working with him. This is evidence that he working with Trump. You want to know why, Chris? You want to know why, Tanya? You want to know why fall in the winter? You want to know why? Because his name is in the Epstein files too. Yeah. His name in the Epstein files too. So when you catch somebody working with Trump, you understand? I bet you ain't know that was coming, did you? Look at you. Uh-huh. So when you catch anybody that's working with Trump and cool with it, they name in the Epstein files too. They don't want no dealings. They don't want no more conversations about them files. So when you done thinking that it's just Minnesota and this and that, no. Whatever Trump doing, they doing it too, because they names in the Epstein files too. So as long as they can stay away, killing people is not going to put the Epstein files away. Let me say that again for those in the back. Killing people is not going to stop us about the Epstein files. See, we continue to see this recklessness. We are so traumatized by it that we have become immune to it. So now that we've become that, my people have seen the worst done to them by police. And now we seeing the other race being done like that. So for us, we've seen this. This is very sad, but we are used to this almost. So I'm telling you, we're not going to stop talking about no Epstein files. You think you're going to keep killing these people out here and more people that's going to be just getting killed that you think, oh, we ain't thinking about Epstein no more? Oh, my brother, you got it so wrong. You going to keep killing and all you doing is causing ruckus to go against the government, because at some point, ICE is going to not be funded. See, you got to understand something. The way you shut down ICE, you got to stop funding them. You got to stop funding them. Because the moment you ain't giving them no money, the moment they don't have no more bullets, the moment they ain't got no more guns, no more pepper spray, no more bulletproof vests, no more masks, that's when you start to become vulnerable, ICE. That's when you start to look bad, ICE. That's when you start to reveal who you are. Because you got to understand, ICE ain't nothing but your next door neighbor with a face mask on. Let me say that again. For the people in the back. ICE ain't nothing but your next door neighbor with a face mask on. Don't ever think they are anything more. I don't even see them as law enforcement. I see them as an independent regime. That is exactly all as I see them as. ICE ain't nothing but your next door neighbor with a face mask on, backed by the president. And because the president backing them, you know they can go crazy. You know you feeling crazy. You know you wrong. You know you the enemy, but you got the president backing you. Think about that for a minute. You the worst person in the world, but the president got your back. ICE, to me, are the real terrorists. That's terrorist organization right in your face. And you see how they sitting here, you see how they then brainwash your brain to think it's a real law enforcement? These people out here bullying you, got a face mask on, ain't got no credentials, don't know, ain't got the right training. See, that's why you can't take the military and put them in the streets, because the military is trained to react to anything that's causing a problem. They're not trained to look at the situation, control it, desensitize it, bring it down, and then figure it out. That is the sole purpose about why the military, National Guard, why these people can't be in neighborhoods. They are trained for war. And yet you will put these military people in neighborhoods. You will put these people that have no credentials in neighborhoods and tell them that they better stop something or make somebody do something. That's the problem, fam. Trump ain't got enough ICE agents for the world. And the way ICE is going about this right now, they not going to have enough ICE agents to take over the world. I'm sorry. Let's think about this. They are allowing any type of people to sign up with ICE. Let me say this again so you can understand what's really going on here. Trump is calling anybody to just sign up with him, to go out here and do what he tell you to do against your auntie, your uncle. Think about this. A member of ICE is probably your cousin, your uncle, your people, yeah, your brother, your daddy. A member of ICE is probably one of your people. And they out here getting orders from Trump to just kill and slaughter us. Now, what that look like? One of your ICE fam running to you and one of your ICE partners put your people down because of what? These are regular people signing up just to slaughter their own people. These are people just signing up just to shoot somebody, just to control something. But they yet have families. They got brothers, sisters, daddies, uncles, and all that. And you telling me these are good guys? You signed up with Trump that has no respect of person, that doesn't care about nothing. But you heard what they said. Pam Bondi said, we will stop ICE if y'all give up the election votes. So you telling me ICE is in Minneapolis, beating up people, slaughtering the city, because y'all ain't giving up no election votes? I heard that in the video we was talking. Pam Bondi was issuing a letter to execute ISIS out of Minneapolis if they would give up their election votes. That's what this thing got to, fam. Slaughtering people in Minnesota just for election votes. By the way, Trump, don't nobody want you elected no more after this run that you on. This run that you on, nobody wants you elected. We will not put you back in office, my brother, with this energy you doing. Because when it's all said and done, we don't know what's going to be left after Trump's presidency. Think about it. What would be left after Trump's presidency? With this ruckus, this recklessness, this slaughter, what would be left after his presidency? Nothing. So why do he think we would want him back in office? Why do we even think we finna sit around and put this man in office? Why do he even think that he can even be elected? So why he fighting for votes? Why they threatening to take people out of there if they don't give them votes? Like I told y'all before, Ellen. See, Ellen, hit that like button, become a member today. Subscribe, it's free. I told y'all in some episodes ago that Trump has a way to be the president again. And I said all he has to do is make sure J.D. Vance wins. Let me say that again. I said there's a way that Trump can be president again. But he has to secure J.D. Vance's win. Because all he got to do, J.D. Vance ain't got to do nothing but just win the presidency and then make Donald Trump his vice president. And then when they win, he can just step down and make Trump the president. Let me say that again if y'all didn't know that could really happen. That could really happen. J.D. Vance can run for the presidency. He can make Donald Trump his vice president. If J.D. Vance was to win with Trump being his vice president, all he has to do is step down and step to the side and hand Trump the presidency. Once again, Trump will be president once again. If that ain't the sickest thing that you would feel, because see, a lot of you all that voted for Trump feel some type of way now. A lot of you all that stood on whatever Trump said he was going to do, you feel so bad now. I know you do. I know you do. Because Trump lied about Alex Pretti being shot. He said that Alex Pretti had a gun on him and that he was coming at them wrong and that they had to shoot him down. Alex Pretti ain't had nothing on him, man, but a gun in his pants. Didn't show nothing, didn't do nothing. They jumped that man. They was beating him up on the ground. And then the man grabbed his gun and took it away from him. And then you heard 7 shots in this man's back. They murdered him. They did him dirty. So when we talking about Trump and them lying, they lying to cover up for the brutality that they doing out here. So that's telling you right now, you don't want him back in office, fam. Because he will allow a fake police to kill you and then come up with an excuse for your death. Let me say that again. Trump will create a fake police to kill you and then making up an excuse for them killing you. They killed a woman. They pushed this woman down like she was a boy. They killed that man for helping that woman after they jumped him. So when I tell you it's a wrap for thinking in your right mind, Trump needs to go. Hit that like button, double tap that screen. Let's go.
Now look me real good in my eyes. You think there's nothing wrong with that. Literal satanic worshipers are saying, thank you, Tim Walz. We support what you're doing. And oh, by the way, let's put this satanic imagery and these devil stuff right in the government building. You don't think that's weird? The Bible says give no place to the devil. And they just saying, man, yeah, let's. They took 10 commandments out of the school. They took prayer out of the schools and replaced it with this. Wake up!
There is a new holiday display at the Minnesota State Capitol. Look at it. I think it's kind of cute. Now, let's read the reviews, specifically from our GOP members, because they're pretty good. Ben Davis, who is one of our state...
Okay, so people like Donald Moore. Donald Moore says, be safe. Why was he there with a gun? Okay, because he's licensed to carry. First of all, you come out your house and you licensed to carry, you got your hammer on you. That's it. That's what it is. So I'm just licensed to carry whether I'm going anywhere. He went to the rally. So him going to the rally, he's licensed to carry anything. It's not about him having a gun on him going to the rally. It's the fact that he's licensed to carry every day. He's going to keep it on him anyway. He got his wallet, his watch, and his gun. That's a normal thing. And regardless of that, we seen the video. The video clearly shows that man doing nothing to nobody, helping a woman out. He helped the woman out. ISIS got in his face like, hey, man, don't help that woman get back. Stay the F away or we're going to deal with you. He back there doing this. He got a whole hammer on him and he doing this. This is after he trying to help a woman. He doing this. They grilling him so bad, he doing this. That's all he can do. So when we talk about gaslighting and all, everything just sounds stupid as humans are in the world. Because if that was you or your brother or your daddy, you would feel some type of way. You wouldn't even be saying what you saying if that was your family member. That's what I be talking about, Chris. That's what I be talking about, Rue. That's what I be talking about, Lori. If that was your family member, Cat, that's what I'm talking about, fam. Feel me? Moving forward. If that was your family member, then you wouldn't be talking all that extra curriculum in that mouth of yours in that little hut in your house or your apartment or your basement or your garage. You wouldn't be talking like that. You would be sitting here saying the same thing everybody else saying if that was your family member. You would say, look at him. He didn't even have a gun. He had it in his pants. He didn't even do nothing. They was jumping him and he was balled up. He literally was balled up. And then they took a gun off of him and somebody else yelling gun, gun. And while he's balled up, somebody straight standing over him and shoots him in the back. Bow, 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 bow. The man is balled up, head in his legs, arms by his head. And Trump gonna lie and say that man shot him because he was protecting himself and everybody around. His other fellow officers. Trump should be killed for that. You know how many people hate Trump? How many people want that man not around? And he calling this ICU nurse a terrorist. He called that lady, Renee Good, a terrorist. What? People hate Trump. Let me tell you something, man. KKK, because you know the KKK still exists, right? You know the KKK still exists, right? The KKK can't even back him up. Why? Because he just killed 2 white people. The KKK ain't rolling with that. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all. Ain't no organization out here rolling with them killing folk but the Trump administration and the Satanists that Walls and the governors work for. That is the only people that's backing this, is the government and the Trump administration. KKK ain't okay with this. Black Panthers ain't okay with it. All of the organizations in the world are not okay with this. The mob, the mafia, the Italians, they not okay with this. You boys, you stupid. You go, and then the funny part is they try to degrade the person talking about nobody's okay with this. That's what I'm trying to tell. I'm trying to tell you, man. Trump better watch himself. Because let me tell you something right now, man. The military is not okay with this. The armed forces are not okay with this. The Navy is not okay with this. The Marines are not okay with this. The Secret Service is not okay with this. B613 ain't okay with this. Is you stupid? These people not okay with this. And I'm trying to tell you, man, listen, man. The Mexican cartel ain't okay with this. And they know how far they can go. Because they know what they can do. Nothing. The United States is allowing them to do whatever they doing. So you got to understand, the government are allowing a lot of these organizations to operate, period. So it ain't a thing about somebody can step in. I'm just telling you, somebody needs to step in and shut this down. It was okay when it was just black people. No. It was okay when it was just black folk getting hit. That's the regular thing. That's the regular world. That's the regular life we live in. It's okay when black people just dying like flies. Police brutality just doing us like we ain't nothing. It's okay with that. That's when the world regular, right? Everything good. Ain't nobody complaining. Oh, that's cool. That's just another NIGGA. That's all. So it's cool. But no, now them white folk getting hit. Man and woman. Oh, now the KKK like, hold up, Trump. We were on your side, but now you killing us too. You killing our own people, dude. What are you doing? That's how they feel. What are you doing? You killing your own people. Must be out your mind. You know how many people ain't involved with this and they mad. Somebody gonna act up in a minute. Somebody gonna act up in a minute. Why? Because we're nothing but human beings. You can be out here acting like you a robot walking around on that. No, you not. You ain't nothing but a human being. You can only take so much of this. And them same people that's worshiping it, but see, you gotta understand, in their world, they can keep killing. They can keep slaughtering. They can keep murdering. Why? Because they believe in the devil. They believe in those things. Those things are like sacrifices to these folk, fam. So it's nothing about them. They not going to stop. They'll keep killing. They'll keep taking life. They're going to keep giving up blood. Because it's something deeper that they believe in. So it's not a bad thing to them because they do this. That's how they operate. I'm talking about the other people that's with them that are still human beings. People that have to sit back and go through this. People that signed up for this, but don't really want to do this. They like, I signed up with you, Trump, and we know you corrupt, but now you killing people for nothing. Like you just running around killing people and you doing it. Why? Because you want the election. You want to control the next elected president so you can still be president. This is how the government operates. The scandal, the level of scandal that's important to them to stay in office, to stay in power. This is how they operate. They will take lives. They will end lives. You understand me? They will end everything just for one thing, and that's power. Hit that like button, double tap that screen, let's go.
Representative, who is also pastor, says, as you study history, Satan is a vulgar enemy to humanity and especially children. Look no further than the child sacrifices committed throughout history and his many names. Satanic temples today are declaring abortions as a sacred religious ritual, and now a shrine honoring him has been placed in our blessed capital. I'm all for religious freedom, but this is pure evil. Did you know that Satan is not the leading cause of death for children in this nation? Yeah, it turns out it's gun violence.
So we literally have satanic altars in government buildings, and that's your boy Tim Walls? That's who you Christians wanted to vote in? Come on, man. There's something demonic going on in Minnesota because the leaders are demonic. The leaders have literally bowed their knee to Satan. That's why you see what I'm about to show you right now.
I do this all year, all the time.
My name is Kyle, I'm Antifa, and there's so much rage in me that I've had to record this like 15 times trying to get the message out. Dicked up, okay?
It's coming to America. It's coming. One day, America will become a Muslim state, a Muslim country. Turn it around. Yes, it will happen. God is powerful. God is powerful. God is working up.
Do you guys understand that all of this is spiritual? It's so much bigger than white versus black, Republican versus Democrat. It's so much bigger than Trump, right? People try to reduce these things down to, oh man, these people just worship Trump or whatever it is. This stuff is going to be an issue long after Trump is out of office if the Lord tarries and doesn't come back. So Trump is not the savior, right? But he's just like, it's like he's a wall that, you know, hey, it's blocking some of the things that are about to be unleashed in America because Satan is all about territory. You honestly believe that all of this stuff that is happening in Minnesota is just an accident? Think about that. The Somalian fraud, 2 people get shot. Tim Walz, who is supposed to be Kamala Harris VP. You think this is just an accident? The enemy wants that territory. Now, we've been talking about sleeper cells. We've been talking about tunnels for quite some time. You know, prophetically, we've been talking about how Islam is telling us they're going to take over the world. And
it's coming to America. Yes, it's coming. Wait, is it going to be one day, America will become a Muslim state, a Muslim country. Really? Turn it around. Yes, it will happen. God is powerful. God is powerful. Is that what everybody here wants? That's what we got. Our goal is to make America Islam. Really? Islamic state. Yes. God is powerful. It's never going to happen. You control the heart of Americans. God guides whom He wills.
They're telling us we're going to take advantage of your woke policies. We've showed you the videos, right, of the terrorist guy. He was at the border over there in Mexico, and he's saying, hey, this is coming to America. Like, they're laughing. They want us to stay woke. We've shown you the videos where Muslims are saying, hey, you know, yeah, keep pushing the feminist thing, keep pushing, you know, abortions, keep being gay, keep doing all of that because they know it weakens society. Now, the thing is, we also know from a spiritual perspective that they are operating under the spirit of the Antichrist because there's only one way, and that's through Jesus Christ. Everything else, every other religion is demonic. Remember, Antichrist is anything that is anti-God, right? So think about that, and then think about this. It's not a coincidence that that stuff is happening in Minnesota like that. The same way that you see stuff that goes on in San Francisco or Chicago, right? There is like different principalities. We see that in Daniel chapter 10, right? The angel said, I was on the way, but I had to fight the principality of the area. And this is why the Bible says we wrestle not against flesh and blood, okay? But wickedness in high places, against principalities, against rulers of darkness.
And high places.
And so there's an enemy in the darkness. And this is why I've told you guys for years, what? Don't have a loyalty to the chess pieces based on color. I don't care if it's Republican, Democrat, black, white, that don't matter. You have to pay attention to the moves that are being made. And not only that, you have to pay attention to the move behind the move, because I could move this piece as a decoy. And so a lot of what you see happening is a decoy. Yes, pay attention to this, but I've got another move planned and I'm playing the long-term game. Many of you are just thinking about what you feel right now in the moment, and that's why you can't see the bigger picture.
Right.
You think it's just about black versus white, Republican versus Democrat. These people are racist, and there's such a bigger thing that is happening even outside of America. Outside, when you look at the rest of the world, there's a common theme. Woke liberal policies bring these chaos. Why? Because you can't just let anything go. Just let everybody love who they want to love. Let everybody believe what they want to believe. You know, even in the Bible, people like to use this verse about, you know, how we should treat the foreigners and things. But they also ignore the verses where God told them, hey, go kill everybody in the land because I don't want their ways to taint you. Don't just let everybody come into your country because I don't want what they're doing to taint what we got going on. So come out from among them and be ye separated. Now there's just mixture. We've got the same woke stuff going on in church. You got gay pastors. You got people living just like the world. People don't believe in holiness no more. And that's why America is becoming a modern day Sodom and Gomorrah. And so when you have this chaos, and a lot of it is orchestrated chaos, that's why I call the media the false prophet. Right? That's why, matter of fact, let's watch this clip.
Listen, it is a terrible thing when anyone loses their life. I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, black, white, Latino, because souls are either going to heaven or hell. And it's a terrible thing to see families being separated and all of this stuff. But my problem is with the media because there's something so much darker and evil that is going on. Watch this. Notice that the media and politicians were not encouraging people to go out and protest and riot over all of these people who lost their lives to illegal immigrants. Also notice how people are taking these two people who lost their life, right, trying to impede ICE and saying, look, all of ICE is evil, what they're doing is wicked, but there are more victims of illegal immigrants than there are of ICE. So by their own logic, then all illegal immigrants should be viewed as evil because we have multiple victims. And of course, we know that's stupid. That's a dumb thing to do, to make an overgeneralization. But the reason they do that is because they listen to the media. So the media is not saying, hey, protest about these victims, but they tell you to go protest and be against ICE, number one, because of spirit of lawlessness, but number two, because they have their own agenda. That's why when Obama was doing what Trump was doing and talking like Trump was talking about illegal immigrants, and he went out there and he deported more people, and he was known as the deporter in chief, and he was the one that built the cages. Remember when you guys were using the pictures and saying Trump got kids in cages, but it was pictures from the Obama administration? That's the problem that I have, is the double standard and the ignorance. CNN was literally going on ride-alongs 3 o'clock in the morning with ICE, documenting as they were trying to intercept people that were on their way to work. And guess what? You didn't know about it, and you didn't care about it because the media didn't demonize it. And you said, well, nobody was dying in the streets. Yes, because the media had it gashed all up to go out there and protest against what Obama was doing, even though he did it on a larger level. And that kind of ignorance is dangerous because this is so much bigger than white versus black and racism and Republican versus Democrat. If you look at the rest of the world and you look at the woke policies, okay, that have happened in the UK, that is why France is overrun the way that it is. That's why a lot of countries in the UK look the way that they do. And then you have Muslims saying, yeah, keep having these weak, woke border policies and just letting anybody in. We're going to take advantage of that. Keep pushing abortions, keep pushing LGBTQ, keep pushing the feminist agenda because they know it's weakening America. And so the bigger picture that many of you guys cannot see while you demonize ICE is there's something that's coming because of these woke policies, and we see it all over the world. It's not racism to have a process. You guys are voting for lawlessness. You are voting for the Antichrist stuff. And like I said, if you didn't hear it the first time, you have 2 victims who unfortunately lost their lives, who wouldn't have lost their lives if they had been at home. But if you're going to demonize the whole group and what's going on and ignore these cases, it shows that you're a hypocrite. I'm going to wake up and ask God about the bigger picture of what's going on, because they're going to call good evil and evil good, and something is coming to America that y'all are not ready for.
And so that's why the media picks and chooses, because they know, like, a lot of people are just ignorant, right? So they say, hey, look at this. This is what you need to think about it. This is what you need to feel about it. And you're not paying attention to the move behind the move. And because, right, the Bible says my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, you don't even realize, like, hold up. Let me look at the numbers. Wait, Obama was...
Because think about this right quick. Think about this. Hit that like button, double tap that screen. Think about this real quick, real fast. Think about this. When Obama was in office, right? Okay? When Obama was in office, okay? Obama literally broke down the military defense. He had gotten he got gay marriage to pass. He also introduced the bathroom situation, I believe, which allowed men to go in bathrooms with women if they claim to be gay, or if they recognize themselves as a woman. Okay. Shout out to you, Lori. Shout out to you, Lori. Hit that like button, subscribe. You should become a member. You family now. That's real. He did a lot because that was his position to do. You need to understand that every president that is elected is already chosen to do a duty that is already assigned. There is no president coming into office doing what he or she wants to do. Period. That ain't how it works. Obama got in office and started to strip U.S. military of our defenses, our weapons, and other powerful things that we possess. Why? Because Obama is not black. He's from a third world country, and he's not a black man. That third world country was Kenya. And that third world country, he was trying to fund, and he also was trying to give life and balance the world. So I say to say this. In the midst of the things Obama was trying to do, he pretty much was successful in some. But the problem was that, again, he was put into office to only pass a certain agenda, and then he has to go. Because he is not the face that represents the next agenda that has to be passed. Let me say that again. Obama was not the face to pass the Trump agenda. Trump is not the face to pass the Obama agenda. Biden was not a face at all. Biden was just a sitting president to be there until it was time to implement the next phase. There is nothing special that Biden did while he was in office. The only thing Biden did was nothing. Everything still happened, but Biden was just a face. He wasn't power. He was just a face in the seat. So the real powers that be in things that was going on. But honestly, Biden was too old. He done lost his hearing. He done lost a lot of medical situations to where we found out Biden was never running office. He was never running the world. And that feels so bad because we grown. And we got an old president that don't even know his name. Can't walk, can't really even do nothing. He can't remember nothing, can't think about nothing. And they got that man in the Oval Office with his doctor running the world. So that's why I tell you again, it's never mattering who's in office.
They have a face that's gonna match the assignment that they have to carry out. Obama was in office for hope. And that hope was that he was the first black president, and everybody feel like now you got hope that you could be the president too. Whether you black, white, mixed, it don't matter. It was nothing but hope. That's what they was going off of, hope. And that hope turned into gay rights, gay marriage, bathrooms privacy being taken away, all type of stuff. While everybody yelling about how Obama was, they questioning Michelle Obama, whether she man or woman. They questioning, is that Obama real kids or not? See, you got to understand all that corruption. Even him and the cook that was in the White House. They said he had an affair with the cook. And then they fired the cook. See, these are things you didn't know about. But y'all was praising Obama because what, he black? And he know how to shoot the basketball? The man ain't black, and that's a fake free throw shot. So when I tell you that the world is made up of strategic plans and scripts that's carried out for us to just keep carrying on, you better remember that. And if you don't think it's real, go look up Obama, go look up Bush, President Bush. He was the face to carry out 9/11. And they used Bin Laden, they used Saudi Arabia, they used these tactics. He was the face. So I'm trying to tell you, Trump was the face. Trump is the face. And we have to realize who is going to stop him? And if he's not going to be stopped, what's next? As always, fam, you know what the deal is. You know how we coming, how we going, and how we moving. You already know you in here with your boy Dilla T and my fam. You know this no filters. As always, fam, I truly appreciate each and every one of y'all tuning in, pulling up, making sure that you got you something, making sure that you know we read the headline, making sure you know we read in between the line in the way that we got to do it just to make sure that we know we here to inform, understand, and be aware that if it walk like a, talk like a, we know what it is, fam. As always, I truly appreciate each and every one of y'all taking time out, man, to pull up on your boy here at No Filters, making sure that we want to make sure that we read in between the lines, making sure that we reading the headline, and making sure that we know we won't have it if it's a lie. As always, fam, I truly appreciate your time. I truly appreciate your understanding. I truly appreciate you taking time out just to make sure that you understand we here to be family. More is better than one. And together we stand. Because if you don't stand for nothing, you're going to fall for anything. You understand? As always, fam, I truly appreciate you remembering that Cash App, remembering that Super Chat, remembering that your support goes a long way. Remembering that you hit that like button, subscribing, and putting your notification bell on all. And never forgetting to share this with the world, family. Always never forget, bam, you see it, the raffles. One man, one woman will have their free chance to win a No Filters Classic hoodie. Your choice color, your choice of the message, signed by your boy Dilla T, sponsored by Nene Love Savvy TV. Always and forever in the building, you know it. As always, I truly appreciate you making sure that when you come in, you get you something to eat. You get you something to drink. You get you something to smoke if that's what you do. Because you see the title, fam. You are here with your boy Dilla T and my fam. And this is No Filters. Good night, family. Y'all be safe. Lock your doors. Keep your hammer. Keep God first. God bless.